have my master's degree in clinical nutrition. My undergraduate degree is in business administration for, I like to say in my first life, I worked on Wall Street for probably about 15 years in equity sales and trading. I worked on a crazy trading floor down in New York City and did that for a while until I had children in my 30s. And then I went back to school in my 40s and earned my master's degree in nutrition. I was also competing as an NPC figure competitor. I started at 42. And I really liked that. And I didn't even really know about IFBB or anything. I just was enjoying competing. And then I realized I wanted to turn pro. So I really made that my focus. And that's when I also became certified as a National Academy of Sports Medicine personal trainer. And I started training people, and people would come to me, and it was great. And then they'd start asking me to help them lose weight, which is why I wanted to go back and get my master's degree. Because I liked the training, but I really loved learning about the body. Like what happens when we restrict calories, what happens when we eat bad foods, like what goes on after it passes our lips and we swallow it, then what? And I did that. I graduated in 2013. I was about 40, I was probably 45 or 46, and that's same year I turned pro in the IFBB. So I've been doing that. I competed till 2019. I'm 56 now. I just turned 56 in March. And it's been a blast. And I've really turned my business, I would say about 10 years ago, towards women's health issues. I do have male clients. I do have younger clients, but primarily being a woman in midlife myself and starting to go through some of the perimenopausal changes. Being a woman that's always been fit, that's always eaten right. I've never had a weight problem. And then all of a sudden, hormonal changes started happening, body aches, pain, stiffness, joint issues, like not sleeping, like what's going on? Like, this is not what's going to happen to me for the rest of my life. And that's when I really started digging deep into perimenopause and menopause and hormonal balance. I was reading a lot, talking to a lot of doctors, attending a lot of seminars, just to build up my knowledge so that women that would come to me with the same issues or even different symptoms, because there are so many symptoms, I could help them be like, okay, I know what's going on. I'm in the same boat as you, and these are some of the things that I'm doing. So let's see what works for you and what doesn't, and then figure out what's going to work for you. So that's really been the trajectory of my career. And now it's social media and getting out there and talking about spreading the message, because women don't understand really what's going on when they get to the late 40s, 50s. But I also want to educate the women that are before they get to that point, like maybe the 30 somethings, so that, hey, look, I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer, but I wish someone would have told me when I was in my 30s that, these are some of the things that are going to happen along your life journey. So let's just get you prepared so that it's not a bumpy ride.
We're just so underinformed and undereducated. What drags someone or what pulls someone to you to want to find those answers?
I would say, for me, being more visible in the social media space, and I've really been working on populating my YouTube channel as well. And when people see and hear, because I'm sure when you hear something that resonates with you, you're like, oh yeah, that's happening to me too. And I think when I talk about my own experiences, people want to hear that stuff. You can say to them, oh, maybe you're experiencing, more visceral fat now, or you can't sleep, or you're losing your hair, or you're kind of moody, or you feel anxious, or you have no libido. But like when I sit down and talk to women, and I'm like, look, okay, I know I've got the joint stuff, and I know what it's like to not be able to sleep, and you get all of a sudden you have an anxiety, and you never had that before, and they're like, yes, I know, me too. Like, what do you do? So I like to come at it from, I'm in the same situation, and I understand what's going on, and you don't have to accept it. You don't have to do, and I know we'll touch on it, but you don't have to do hormone replacement therapy, but you really probably should. But it is kind of a concierge thing right now, and not, insurance companies don't pay for it. So it is an out-of-pocket expense. So if someone can't afford it, what are the alternatives? Are there alternatives? And it's my job as a nutritionist to say, let's do these things and see if we can help alleviate the symptoms as much as we can. And if a woman is open to hormone replacement therapy or has the means to do it, or her doctor will have the conversation with her, let's broach that. And I'm educated enough to tell them enough so when they go to their doctor, they know how to talk to them and they know how to ask the right questions. Or I could put them in touch with a specialist that focuses, doctors that focus on hormone replacement therapy, so that they go to someone like you would go to an orthopedist for a knee injury, or
Mm-hmm.
you'd go to a cardiologist for a heart issue. You want to go to a hormone specialist. And that's not necessarily your OBGYN, and it's not necessarily your endocrinologist. So I just really want to inform women. I'm not pushing anything on anybody, but I want them to have the facts, and then they can make a decision for themselves.
Mm-hmm. So when someone does come to you and they're like, "All right, I want to figure this out," what does the process look like? Are you a personal trainer, online fitness coach, or gym owner on the verge of burnout? Are you wanting to grow your fitness business but can't add more hours to your hectic schedule? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today.
I would say when a woman comes into me, I usually will take a full health history from them. I ask them a lot of questions like first height and weight. I ask them to take me through a typical day of eating. How are you eating in a typical day? What does that look like? And then I'll ask them what their sleep is like. I'll ask them if they go to the bathroom every day. I'll ask them if they're on medication. I'll ask them if they've done blood work recently, and a whole bunch of other questions. It really will give me a good picture of what this person is going through, what their daily life is like, what their stress level is. Are they exercising? Do they still have kids at home? Are they in college? All those things. Because stress and all that plays a huge role in it also as to what symptoms are. And then a big piece of it is, in my experience, Danielle, most women are not eating enough. Many of them are overweight or need to lose weight or are starting to put weight on that they never did before. But many of them they're just not eating enough food, primarily protein, and they're they're grabbing things when they're hungry, maybe overeating when they're hungry because they haven't eaten in a while. So that's a big piece of it, is really fixing their metabolism and looking at how they're eating and what they're eating. I also ask about alcohol because alcohol is a big piece of it also. Alcohol definitely really makes perimenopausal and menopausal symptoms worse. So that's something I like to look at. And I ask them about, their libido and, what that's like. And I get this, or if they just shake their head. Those are the two responses that I always get. So it's fixing their eating, their lifestyle first, fixing their eating, getting them eating better, maybe taking some supplementation. There's a few supplements for women I like to use, getting them moving, making sure they're doing, some cardiovascular. We need circulation, we need blood flow, but also making sure too that they're strength training a minimum of 3 times a week, just because bone density and muscle mass are two huge things that we lose as we get older.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have muscle and your bones are weak and brittle, you are not going to have a very nice long lifespan. Or if you do have a long lifespan, it's not going to be a happy one, because you're just going to be dealing with lots of aches and pains and joint issues and maybe fractures and being at risk for falling. So I look at their food and try to fix their movement. And then every week I make them check in with me, talk to me, email me, get back to them, like really follow them. So they can start to lose weight, see how they feel, add in some, supplements that support hormonal balance, and see, see how we fare.
So are tests, or getting your blood work done, is that something that you make is as close to a necessity as possible?
I do. I will ask them. I always ask them when the last time was they had blood work. And it's usually your typical blood work draw that they do when you go for a physical. They check all your white and red blood cells, your liver enzymes, all those markers. What I would like them to do is check. And if it's a woman like late 40s, early 50s, I like them to have their estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, total tests and free testosterone, and a full thyroid, TSH, which they'll do on a regular blood panel, but also T3 and T4. So we can see if if T3 is low, that maybe T4 is not converting into T3, and that might be a problem. Maybe that's why they can't lose weight and they're tired and sluggish. And a vitamin D, definitely want to see where their vitamin D level is at. And even DHEA is another level that I like to look at. And then get that blood work. It's not as easy to get as you would think. Many doctors tell people you don't need to do it. It's not necessary. Insurance doesn't cover it. It's very expensive. Like, you hear a lot of these excuses, but there are ways to get it done. So I always have my clients at least go to their OBGYN first and ask them. Like, they're sort of the first line of defense. Most times the OBGYN will do it, but sometimes they don't want to. And because primary cares will usually say no. But I always hold out hope for the OBGYNs. But if they still won't do it, then it's a matter of, I use direct labs, and I built a female hormone panel there so the client can go purchase it, and then they get the script sent to them, and then they can go to the lab and get the blood draw, and then they'll send me the results, and then I can look at it because I can read the blood work. I read my own blood work all the time. I do it. I'm on hormone replacement since last year, and I do my bloods every 60 days. And so I'm really, really versed at reading blood work now. It's actually pretty cool. So
It's so weird that that could be a problem, that
I
people,
know.
like, medical and health professionals are just like, no, we're not gonna, do
Yeah.
that for you. Like, wow, like, it just is so bizarre. Like, people want to take advantage of these things, and they want to take control of their health, and the people that are there to professionally help us do that, it's like, what is the motive there? What's the like, what's the gain there that's really helping the individual at the end of the day?
For me, it's really frustrating when a client comes back and says my doctor said she won't do the hormone blood work, and it makes me really frustrated because the doctor, they're supposed to be taking care of us. If anything, the OBGYN should be opening the conversation with her 50-something clients to be like, hey, look, we need to do a blood panel and see where you're at, because osteoporosis could be an issue, sarcopenia, losing muscle mass could be an issue, your cognitive health, your cardiovascular health. I mean, those are four things for us as women that really will determine how we age. And estrogen is they all play a role in the symphony, but estrogen is so important for our brain, our cardiac, and our bone health. And if it's plummeting, your brain is shrinking up, your muscles are getting more. I mean, you're losing muscle mass, and your bones are getting brittle. And who wants to be 75 and you trip and fall, and then you break something, a hip or whatever, and they're like, oh wow, you have osteoporosis. Well, that's nice, but maybe if you had done a blood panel in your 50s, you would have been able to say, hey, it's time to take some estrogen. We need to make sure that those bones stay strong as you age. Mm-hmm. So it is baffling that they just don't have those conversations with us. And doctors will also say things like, oh, taking hormones causes cancer, and that's not true of bioidentical hormones. So that's another thing that's frustrating, is they'll scare people. And I'm not a doctor, but I've read a lot about hormones, and I've talked to enough doctors about hormones. And when a doctor says that, it's such a disservice to their client by scaring them, because I could tell them it doesn't and show them all the facts, but their doctor in the white coat that went to med school said it does, and that's what they're going to believe. And I don't blame them, but that's kind of where we're at. So,
are you a personal trainer who wants to scale and grow your business online? Have you been coaching online for years, yet don't know how to incorporate online into your current business model? Introducing Trainer Revenue Multiplier, the premier wealth creation system for fitness professionals that helps you earn more and work less. Visit www.trainerrevenuemultiplier.com today to schedule your free business accelerator session. If you're serious about taking your business to the next level, schedule your call today. The Weight Room Podcast is thrilled to announce our new sponsor, Prime Science. They're leaders in harnessing scientific research to revolutionize your fitness journey. With a firm foundation in the latest health sciences, Prime Science offers innovative products to help you achieve and surpass your fitness and health goals. These tools are more than just accessories. They're the result of rigorous scientific research aimed at optimizing your health. Dive deeper into how you can transform your approach to fitness at primescience.co.uk. Trust me, with Prime Science, you're in scientifically sound hands. Is this something that like is just a natural thing, meaning like women have been going through this forever until, since XYZ time, or is it due to certain factors in our society, or maybe it's a little bit of both? Like what's the background of all of this?
I think that I'm sure that our environment plays a role in some of the symptoms because I teach a 6 week course called Midlife Mastery, and it's 6 weeks on Zoom. And we go, each week is a different segment about midlife and menopause and symptoms. And last night was the last week, and I usually wrap it up with endocrine disruptors. And I do believe that our environment probably has made it a little bit worse, meaning all the plastics and the pesticides and, all the chemicals in our lotions and potions. And, we're wearing, we wear makeup, we wear lotion, we do our nails, we do hair color, like all the things that we're doing now that maybe they didn't do 100 years ago. So maybe back then it might have been more symptoms of hot flashes and night sweats. I would believe that they were still losing muscle mass and bone density. They probably just didn't realize it then. But I would definitely think that our environment and a lot of the toxins and the things that we're exposed to now definitely probably exacerbate the the symptoms. Even additives and gums and fillers and thickeners in our food affecting our gut, which affects our weight loss, our immune system, and all those things. It's kind of sad when you think about it, like all the things that are happening to us as we get older. It's like it's not a pretty picture. And I always hate painting it as such a picture of like sadness or being a Debbie Downer. But the cool, what I always try to end with is it doesn't have to be that way, and we just have to do things differently. We have to make sure we're eating right and exercising and lifting weights and sleeping and taking some vitamins and drinking enough water and all those. There are just very simple, basic things that if you fix that up, it does help with a lot of the symptoms. And there are some natural supplements that will help with the hotness and the flashes and some of those things, the moodiness, the depression, trying to lose, sometimes they'll start losing weight once they get moving a little bit differently, cut out the alcohol, the processed foods, the sugar can help with the joint stuff. So I do think that we probably could be making it a little bit worse than it is.
What are some of those? You mentioned some of those natural
Supplements.
supplements. Yeah, what are some of those?
So there's a product I like called Estrovera, and it's made by Metagenics, and it's made from Siberian rhubarb, but it's very effective. And there are they've done studies like double-blind placebo studies with it that show that it does help with the hot sweats and the night sweats and the hot flashes. And I have many of my women that have had those symptoms use it, and it's really helped them a lot. There's another one called Menaquil, and that one has the phytoestrogens in it, which mimic estrogen in our body, which can be helpful. It has dong quai and black cohosh and some other ingredients that help with, just a lot of the symptoms, the hot flashes, the night sweats, maybe not sleeping, the moodiness. That one's been helpful too with some ladies. I do like to use DHEA with my clients. And when they do a blood panel, I'll have their DHEA level checked, but it always helps with, or it does help. It's a precursor to testosterone. So DHEA is made in your adrenal glands that sit on top of your kidneys. Its main job is to balance cortisol. But in our 30s, we start making less of it. So I like to have women supplement with it because it does help with the visceral fat loss. It does help with building and retaining muscle mass. It definitely helps with mood. It definitely helps with libido. And it's a great supplement for women. It's actually part of my hormone therapy. I do supplement with DHEA, but it's one that I will add in. So I'll add in one of the Estrovera or the Menaquil for the symptoms. I like to add in DHEA to help with the muscle mass and the fat loss and the mood, libido. And then I do like to use evening primrose oil too with women. And that is great for hormonal balance. It's also great for skin health, and it does help with anxiety and depression. So primrose is another one that I like to use, but I will always put those in vitamin D. I always ask the woman if she's taking vitamin D. Sometimes it's no, sometimes they'll say yes, and they're only taking like 1,000 IUs a day, and I bump them up to 5,000 IUs a day.
Gotcha. What do you say to someone or tell to someone, maybe just generally out there listening to this, who, they're looking for some of those things that you're talking about, those natural supplements, and hopefully through this they hear the ones that you just said and maybe check those out. But what do you say to the person that's maybe like a supplement junkie in a way? Like they just are checking everything out, they're trying everything out, and maybe some are good, some are bad, some are not tested, very, very researched very much. Some maybe don't have great efficacy, or some aren't, third party tested to see if what's
Right.
inside the box is really there. Like, what's your general advice when it comes to supplements, I guess?
When it comes to supplements, there are a few brands like Metagenics is a great company. There is also you can use Thorne. There's Pure Encapsulation. There now brand NOW. It's got the purple cap with the orange label. That's a good brand, and I use some of theirs. Nature's Way is another one that's good. I always just tell people like, if they ask me for a supplement, I'll recommend some of those, and you can get those online. And versus running into the grocery store or the supermarket and you grabbing some brand that's got dust on the cap because it's been sitting there for a while, and even fish oils too, like you want to make sure you get a good brand of fish oil if that's what someone's going to use. And if you go to a Whole Foods or even a vitamin shop, they usually have good brands and you can ask them for help. Like those are pretty reputable places to go. And then if you find a brand there that you like, you can shop it and see if you can find it, less expensive on the internet. Usually that's not an issue. But
Mhm.
those are brands that I like to use. I use Now, Pure Encapsulation, Thorne, Metagenics is great. There's Designs for Health. There are some good companies out there that are more nutraceutical versus they're just made in a lab somewhere and you take them and they sort of go in and down and right out.
There's a lot of like definitely value in products out there, right? And then obviously you have your lifestyle changes such as different diet and getting moving and exercise and stuff like that. Is there a pyramid to you that you go to first? It's like, all right, we're starting here. This is the top. This is the most important thing, or two most important things we're going to focus on first.
I would say, I mean, first I want to get her eating the way I want her to eat. Is the nutrition piece for me is always is the key. Is getting the food right. And I have many women that I'm like, look, this is what we're going to start with. I want you eating like this. These are the foods I want you to get. This is how much protein. Like I give them the blueprint. And then sometimes it's just like, well, I want you to walk 5 times a week for 30 minutes, 15 minutes down your street, 15 minutes back. Let's start with that. And sometimes that's it. Or sometimes it's let's get the nutrition right. And I want you to do these 5 body weight exercises 3 times a week. And I want you to walk a little bit. And then gradually add in a little more strength training. All right, let's get the 5 pound dumbbells out. Let's get the 10 pound dumbbells out. And like just sort of gradually get them going. If it's a woman that really hasn't been doing much strength training, so I don't want them to feel like, oh my God, this is too much. Like, let's get the eating fixed and then let's walk a little bit. And I want you to take like these 3 supplements, get your Primrose, get your DHEA, and let's use a good multivitamin. And let's just start with that kind of thing. And then we'll graduate and I'll add little things in and get them into the some. I had a woman who was like, she's like, I'm ready to join a gym. She's like, all right, join a gym. I'm like, all right, good. Go in the gym, take a video of what the gym, if it's not a typical gym that we know the name of, that we know they have every piece of equipment, but I'm like, go in and take a video, and then I want to see it because then I can tell you exactly what I want you to do on what days of the week. So, but I would always say food is the first place because if you fix someone's diet and get them eating right, they're going to start to lose weight. So,
Is there a typical time frame where it's like, all right, I know it's going to take the person that really hasn't gone into this at all yet. It's going to take them an average of a month or 2 months or 3 months to really get kind of in gear on that.
I would say, you know, I always ask for a 12-week commitment, 3 months. I would say someone usually needs about 6 months, because it's always a little bit of a learning curve getting started. But I mean, if someone only needs to lose, say, 5 to 10 pounds, 12 weeks is a good chunk of time where I can show them what I need them to do. The way I come at it is, Daniel, I tell people right away, I'm not dieting you. So I'm not writing you a diet that you're going to do. And then when you get the 20 pounds off, see you later. Good job. And then you come back to me in 3 or 4 months because you put it back on. I want them to. I'm like, this is going to be a lifestyle, and I'm going to teach you how to live differently now. And then when you get to your goal, I'm going to teach you how to add in that, that dinner out that you want to have once a week with your, significant other or family, or a party, a vacation. Like, I'm going to teach you how to navigate. I teach them how to navigate those things throughout the process, but I don't want, sometimes people will be like, I have to eat like this forever. I can never have a piece of whatever again. And I'm like, no, no, absolutely not. But at least in the beginning, let's put the blinders on and like dig in a little bit and get this going. And then I'll tell you, if you say to me, Saturday night, I want to go out and have, spaghetti and meatballs. Okay, well, this is what you were going to do all the day leading up to that meal so that you can have what you enjoy. And then next morning, it's right back to what you know how to do.
Mhm.
And then, you just add little things in here and there, but not so much that you put all the weight back on, because 80, 85% of the time, you know how you're eating all day long. You have your food ready, you're eating salads and proteins and, good carbs, good fats, but you can't eat out every day, twice a day. That's not going to work. We're adults and we don't like to do new things. We like things the way we like to do them. And but you can't. What is the expression? I say you can teach an old dog new tricks. It takes a little bit, but you know I just always remind them, like, why they came to me and what they said. Like, I really want to fit into this dress again, or I want to feel the way I used to feel, or I want to look better, or because it affects our confidence, how we feel as women. I mean, I know. I mean, I've changed outfits like 3 or 4 times in a night before I go out because I'm like, I don't like how I look in this. I don't like how I look in this. And if you go out, and any women listening to this will laugh because it's true. If we go out and we don't feel good about what we're wearing and how it looks on us, we're not happy. So I remind women of that. I'm like, remember how you said you want to go out and have that confidence and put on what you want to wear. And that always keeps them kind of on the straight and narrow when you remind them of that.
Mhm.
So is that Oreo really worth it, or that?
Have you ever considered or thought about, or maybe in the future, creating some sort of like system, like instead of just midlife mastery, like a lifetime mastery?
I have definitely thought about doing that. I've thought about like creating a program for women that are in that 30 something space, so they sort of understand, what's what's coming, and even the, the 20 something space too, like the late 20s, because I've worked with young girls like graduating from college that have come to me and said, I really want to get this weight off. I'm getting a job, I'm going out into the world, and I want to look and feel better, confident, those things. And that's, that mid to late 20s is an interesting demographic because, they probably want to get married. They are in the workforce. They want to look their best. They did a lot of partying and eating maybe in college, and now they're like, oh, I kind of want to get that stuff off. I'm beyond that stage. So I've definitely thought about building like segments for certain age demographics,
Mhm.
and like that late 20 somethings, and even in the 30s. And another thing I've thought about doing too is, I remember after I had my son, who's my firstborn, and when you're first time pregnant, it's really exciting and everybody's all excited. And you go into the doctor and you're doing the sonograms and you hear the heartbeat, and you're getting the nursery ready, and it's just all these exciting things. And then boom, you have the kid, and everybody's gone. Like, there's no more nurses, there's no more, you're not going to the doctor every week like you were before. You kind of like left with this child, and our hormones plummet. I mean, I think other than menopause, I would say postpartum, like your hormones just plummet because when you're pregnant, you feel amazing. Your hair is beautiful and your skin, you're glowing. It's wonderful. And then boom, you're not sleeping anymore. Your hormones hit the deck, and you got this little thing you got to take care of that wants to eat all the time, and you don't sleep. So I feel like our medical community kind of ditches us then too, because I remember thinking, boy, I wish someone would have told me what it was like post pregnancy, because I remember just feeling a little isolated and a little alone, and not really sure what to do. And talk about hot flashes and night sweats. If any of the women that are listening to this, I remember I would wake up in the night and just be drenched. Like, I'd have to put a towel down, change my shirt, and go back to sleep because it was just all your hormones just coming out. So I've often thought about doing like a postpartum, at least for the first time around. The second time around, you're like, I got this. But the first time is definitely life altering, life changing.
What is that time frame that you look for, not just to see those initial results of, okay, this is really they're starting to see these results and it's kicking in a way, but what's the timeline in regards to like, all right, I know after 6 months or I know after a year or whatever that this person has been doing this pretty consistently. Everybody's going to have some stumbles here and there, but they've been doing it consistently. And now I kind of expect things to kind of like level off in regards to we've got the hormones maybe where we want them, or we've got their habits where we want them. What does that timeline look like for the majority of people that you work with?
I would say a good solid a good solid 6 months. If I have someone that's really, vigilant and they're doing what the things that I want them to do. I mean, and I can get a woman to a really good place in 6 months. And then it depends too. If someone needs to lose a lot of weight, if we're talking, you know, 30, 40, 50, 60 pounds, depending on that too. Sometimes it can take a year. It again, it depends on the person because sometimes people, they mess around or they don't follow through and that's normal. I get that. I never, make anyone feel bad about that. But as long as they're like, they stay with the program, sometimes people just sort of fade away and ghost, and that's unfortunate. But, if I get someone that I can have them be like, okay, that's all right. We all have, no one's perfect. Let's just, look at how we can be better tomorrow. What do we do today? What were the wins? And what can we improve on tomorrow? And I always want to come at it from that point because people sometimes will be like, oh my God, I blew it. I just blew it. And I'm like, you didn't blow it. It was just like, it was one thing, one meal, one whatever. Let's just, let's just regroup and start again.
Mm-hmm.
And so it depends on the person, but I would say 6 months to a year.
Mm-hmm.
But I do always have the conversation about hormone replacement, and because we can use natural things to help with symptoms and trying to bring hormones up a little bit naturally, but at the end of the day you really need to replace the hormone and take something to, a bioidentical hormone so that you can really bring the levels back up to, say when you were in your 30s, if that's what the person wants to do.
What are the check-ins like? The Weight Room Podcast is proud to be partnered with Prime Science, our new sponsor and a trailblazer in health technology. Prime Science is dedicated to pushing the boundaries of what's possible in health and fitness through extensive research and scientific validation. Their products are a testament to their commitment to safe, scientifically backed health optimization. To learn more about how Prime Science is redefining fitness with valid science, visit primescience.co.uk. Join us in embracing a future where fitness meets rigorous scientific practice with Prime Science. This podcast is sponsored by Smoking Gun Coffee, a veteran-owned coffee company that strives to give back to those in need. Don't forget to use code TWR10 for a 10% discount at checkout.
So every week I have it automated so that my clients get an email from me on a Tuesday reminding them that they have to check in on Wednesday. And then Wednesday they get a questionnaire from me. And every week it's the same questions, but it tells me what I need to know. And then what I do is I use Loom, which is a little video, and I pull up their check-in and I go through it item by item and respond back to what they typed in there. And then if I want to, amend the meal plan or amend the training program or give them a supplement or make a suggestion, I'll do it in the Loom, and then I'll go in and fix up the programming, and then I'll email it back to them. But it's checking in every week, and then I let they ask me questions throughout the week if they need support. I'm there. I try to reach out to them through sending them inspirational quotes and information. I have a newsletter I send them with information on anything that pertains to menopause. It could be about hormones, it could be about a supplement, it could be about a lifestyle modification. So I try to add a lot of value and interact with them. And if they need me, they just WhatsApp me. I use that and I answer them, or if we need to get on a call, we get on a phone call. But my goal is to be accessible to them so that they feel like they're not alone. They're doing this, and if they're confused about something, just message me. And I'm pretty quick about responding to people because I know when I ask someone a question, I'm like an answer fairly soon. So I always look at things of how do I, when they say treat people the way you want to be treated. So I try to be very responsive to them.
So when someone's coming to you, and this kind of wraps back around to what I asked at the beginning a little bit, but is it usually someone who's been dealing with it, with the symptoms and stuff for a while? Is it usually someone who's maybe tried a ton of other stuff, but they haven't, it hasn't worked out? Or
Most of the women I'm working with now are probably like early 50s, and a lot of them will are coming going, yeah, I've been having these symptoms for a while. Maybe it's been a year, and I saw something that you posted, and or I've been following you for a while and listening, and I finally realized I need to reach out. So I think sometimes as women, we're so busy, and a lot of the women still in their early 50s still have kids at home. They're in high school. They're still, doing the drop off and driving and managing their life. So it's busy. And I think sometimes, well, I know we forget about ourselves a little bit. But I think once they go off to college or the kids get more independent, and then I think the women are like, hey, I can't avoid these things anymore. Like, I don't like how I feel. I don't like how I look. Why is my belly getting soft? I never had this before. I'm not sleeping great. Like, I'm kind of moody. I feel anxious. And I think it's kind of like when you go to bed at night and you start thinking about everything that you either didn't do or that you have to do tomorrow. It's all of a sudden you're not distracted by taking care of your kids every waking minute, that you start to realize, hey, something's not right. I never felt like this before, and I need to address it. So yeah, I'd say sometimes they're dealing with symptoms for a little bit, and then they finally are like, I need to deal with this, and I don't know what to do.
what are the expectations of people that come to you?
The expectations seem to be that they want to and usually weight losses with everybody. There's always some component. It's just a matter of how much. But the expectation is, I want to get this weight off, and how long is it going to take? That's kind of, I hear that a lot. How long is this going to take? And I always tell them that, well, that depends on you. We haven't started yet. Once we start and I see how your body responds after the first couple check-ins, oh, cool, we're losing weight right out of the box. Some people, it takes a little bit longer. Their bodies don't want to relinquish, and it takes a little bit. But that's usually the biggest thing, is that they want to look better. They want to lose that weight, and they want to be able to fit into their clothes and feel better. So that, I find, is the biggest expectation. But my job is to teach them that, we have some forces of nature working against us. So, we need to do things a little bit differently than we did in our 30s, when you could just diet a little bit and the weight would come off. Like, it's kind of not what happens now. Your body, it's a little bit different. And, it's why I like to use the DHEA, because the testosterone is a big piece of it for us. It really helps with, keeping your muscle intact and building strength and fat loss. Like, testosterone is, I mean, we need the other ones too, but I think it's my favorite one.
So
It does so much.
when it comes around to like, okay, we've been working together for a while, I've been seeing some good results. Do you find that a lot of people, when they do start to see results and, maybe they've reached their weight loss goal,
Mhm.
that people are like, "Oh man, I just want to keep you around because I feel like, we're a good team, or, you're doing what you said you'd be doing. So now I just want to, see what else I can do, or I don't want to lose you because then what if I go back to the other way?" Or do you find that
Right.
more people are like that, or do you find that more people are like, "All right, I've reached my goal, I'll see you later if I need you."
People usually will stick around for a bit, even after they've reached their goals. They'll stay for a bit. And what I like to do when they reach their goals is maybe drop them down to like just one monthly check-in. So it sort of keeps them honest, and they feel like they still have that life cord attached to me, so to speak, so that they can still check in. And and it's a little bit less. I can bring them down as far as like price point and budget, because look, check in once a week. If you need me, just reach out and ask a question. But that works. It keeps people honest, because I always tell them, like, it's like when your kids go to college. You're always sad to see them go, but you want them to go off and be little individuals and take care of themselves. And I always want my clients to learn from me, and take all my wisdom and knowledge and get them to where they want to be, and then teach them to stay there and have them go off into the sunset. I mean, I have clients that have come back, and that's fine. I love my clients. I'm sad to see them go, and if they want to come back, I'm happy. But I'd rather them not come back. I'd rather them just be like, I fixed my life. I'm where I want to be. I'm at my, consistent weight. I know how to have cheat foods, but not go overboard and put 10 pounds back on. And, I want them to go out and just sing praises because they're my best walking advertisements. Everyone stays on my distribution list. So I send out motivational stuff during the week. I send out a newsletter. Like everyone stays on all that. I never take anyone off unless they want to be asked to be removed. But most people, and I don't overdo it. We're all getting inundated with stuff, and but I want them to at least know, oh, look, here's something, that Linda wrote that's good that I want to read, I want to know about. I try to just give them enough information so that they'll read it and absorb it and ask questions. And I try to put a fair amount of, well, I put a lot of information on my Instagram stories and posting so that people can follow that too if they want to, and YouTube, so they can get as much as they want or as little as they want.
Well, you certainly, put out a lot of content on the social media aspect and, doing podcasts and stuff with some pretty cool people that, you post on there. So there is a lot of information out there and a lot of content. And, if you're on the fence right now, should I hire specifically you or should I hire anybody, going and checking out what they've done before. And like I said, you have a ton of great stuff that you've done with, professionals and in the health and medical side of things, talking about all kinds of different stuff. But when it comes to like that kind of interaction with people, with professionals, how often do you kind of like are chatting with someone as much as you keep up with like, okay, this is new information that's come out, or this is what we see is most practical or what works best? How often do you chat with somebody and you're like, oh man, I've never heard of that before. Oh man, I'll try that with my clients.
A lot, actually, almost every day. And I've really been fortunate where I've met some great doctors in the space, like Dr. Osborne, who's down in Florida. He's a neurosurgeon, but he runs an anti-aging clinic in Fort Lauderdale, and he's outstanding. Man's obviously a brain surgeon, he's brilliant. But and I have my own doctor, Edward Jacobson, who's a bioidentical doctor, and he's wonderful. And I can email him all the time. And if I read something and I'm like, what do you think about this? And he'll tell me what he thinks. And I'm like, yeah, actually, when I read it, I thought the same thing, which I always like. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. He thinks what I think. But I have a handful of doctors that I will go right to if I don't understand something, or I want to learn more about something, or I just want to have a conversation with. So I'm lucky in that respect that I have their respect, which is actually pretty cool. So that's like a nice little confidence builder for me when I talk to them and they say those kind of things. Like Dr. Osborne was like, he's like, I'd love to have you working in my clinic. I wish you were in Florida. And that's a huge compliment. He's a pretty smart guy.
Yeah,
And I'm like, oh, he thinks I'm smart too. I like that. So,
yeah.
but, and I read a lot and I listen a lot. I listen to a lot of doctors out there that like Dr. Sarah Gottfried, and there's a new woman now, Dr. Mary Claire Haver. She's a new one. She just did a great podcast with Mel Robbins about menopause, which was very good. And so I do listen to a lot of the gurus out there. And then if I need more info, I just go to one of the doctors that I know and ask them what they think.
Yeah. That's pretty cool to have those connections like that. And
It is. It's nice because when if if a client asks me a question and I don't have the answer, I'm like, I don't have the answer, but let me go find out. And then that's good because it ramps up my knowledge too.
thanks for coming on and sharing a little bit tonight. I really appreciate it. And,
Absolutely.
look forward to doing more of these with you and just kind of continuing to dive deeper into some of these topics.
Absolutely, because the science is always changing, and there's so many interesting things going on. And if you want to do one on just and talk about hormone replacement, I'm happy to do that. That would be pretty amazing for I think a lot of your female listeners that or even younger. But at least I always say knowledge is power. So life is great. I love being a 50 something woman. I'm happy. I feel good since I've been taking my hormones too. It's really helped some of the things that I was dealing with. And I'm still getting there. I just started in September. So we're just titrating up. Every 60 days, we do blood work to see, okay, where is everything? So it's very interesting. I use myself as a guinea pig all the time and tell women these things. But, I'm not afraid of it. I'm more afraid of, I know I'm going to get older, I tell people, but I don't have to like look old and feel old as I get older. And
Mhm.
I want that for all women. We don't have to become old little grannies. We can be vibrant women in our 80s still doing stuff, tennis, golf, pickleball, going to the gym, whatever it is. There's no reason why we shouldn't be upright and mobile and fully functional. but hormones play a big part of it. We had full hormones in our 20s, 30s, and even into our 40s. Why is it acceptable to have to live a life without it as we get older and just kind of not feel so great? It shouldn't, we don't have to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So my website is Linda M. Stevens. Stevens is with the PH, STEPHENS, lindamstevens.com. I offer everyone a 30-minute complimentary call, so my calendar will pop up if you go to my website. You can also go to my Instagram, which is lindastepensfit. And again, Stevens is with a PH.
If you're tired of searching for a coach or trainer, somebody who knows what they're talking about and has experience, make sure you go check out the new Coach's Corner on weightroompodcast.com. You can find quality, qualified coaches to help you achieve your goals, whether that's in bodybuilding or just general fitness. Stop wasting time and start achieving your goals today. The link to the Coach's Corner is down in the description below.